the Paul Hunter Trophy. Hunter, who of course won this title
Higgins to break
3 times in 4 years in the early part of the noughties. John Higgins, twice a champion. Mark Allen seeking his first ever Triple Crown title, and only his second ever Triple Crown final. I think the question is, can he replicate the form he showed in beating O'Sullivan? That's been his undoing in the past. A terrific performance followed by a disappointing one. Can he string 2 big performances together against 2 of the all-time greats to get to the final? He was certainly super relaxed, Neil, in the hour or so before they took to the table this evening, sitting in the media room. Ivan Hershevitz, the media officer, came up and said, "Do you fancy a knock before we get underway?" And Mark looked up from his phone and said, "I haven't decided yet. I might do. I'll let you know."
Well, that was a great start. And it would be quite something if he could continue in the way that he played against Willie O'Sullivan, because I thought he played superbly in that match. He dominated it, which is very difficult to do against anyone, especially O'Sullivan. He was at the table for long periods. He was knocking in shots like that one. However, the cannon on the red has gone wrong. The wrong red.
8.
Playing Higgins will certainly hold no fear for Mark Allen, as the guys have been discussing. He's got an excellent record. He's won as many times as he's lost against the great man. And he's won some big ones too. That one just stays out, catching the near jaw. All of their previous Masters meetings were in the first round, all of them going Allen's way, but of course this is a different situation, a semi-final chance to play for the trophy tomorrow. This is where the big guns normally come to the fore.
Yeah, John's just found a formula, hasn't he, to win. He really does know that I think he goes into any match with any preconceived plan. He's open-minded about how it will go. And he's the consummate match player, isn't he? You know you've got to play to a high level if you're going to match him or beat him.
And a real renaissance in the last couple of seasons for Higgins, who did have a couple of pretty flat seasons where he was beginning to question whether he could still cut it in the really big events. But of course he won those 2 very lucrative invitationals back-to-back last season. And at times looked every bit as good as he ever has. Of course, pushed Selby very close in the final of the World Championship last spring.
Eight.
There's an argument that he could have been a world champion right now, isn't there? Certainly the way that that match with Selby went that you were speaking about. He had a good lead. He just, I think, looked more fatigued on the second day. Selby stayed strong. That's the whole thing about the World Championships. It's a complete marathon of the mind. You've got to really be all 13. The way through. He just lacked one day where he had nothing seemingly left.
Giving away 11 years to his opponent this evening, but of course this is a comparatively short match. It's the best of 11, first to 6. The final is over the best of 19.
14. $21.
Oh, what a great recovery shot. The sign of his confidence.
Yes, and we were right behind the line, and it was always held on, wasn't it? But of course he's got the bunch of reds very tight here to get into. Quite how he goes about it. Might just play on yellow or brown here, which would give him the perfect big target. Just swing the cue ball into them. I think that would be, either of those would be the best ball to come over from that left side into the bunch. Very strategic plan, I would say.
28. Thank you.
Looks to me as if he's wide enough an angle on the brown, that will be his choice of the two.
Okay, thank you.
Yellow is a little bit wider, and you will be coming at great speed. So it is going to be the brown. He's got to generate enough on this. Well, he's played it well enough. Unfortunately, the reds haven't really
33.
opened for whatever reason.
Just check that from this side. It's a touching ball. John Higgins, 33.
Very similar tournament stats coming into this semi-final from the pair. They're both on 94% with pot success, which is outstanding. Alan has just slipped below that with his miss on the red earlier in this frame, but similar sorts of stats. Alan has made 3 centuries to Higgins 1. 25 in all now, which is 6 below the all-time record for the Masters back in 2009.
I guess the other interesting thing about this match is that both players in the back of their mind know that they'll be almost certainly be favourite against Kyren Wilson in the final, so it doesn't mean they'd beat him. They would fancy perhaps being champion, and this match sort of carries all that weight on top of it, that you might just go on and become champion. You win tonight. Kyren Wilson will have something to say about that, obviously.
Both players have been very good from long range so far this week. Alan in particular, in excess of 90% success with long range pots, which is quite outstanding. Higgins at a very respectable 81.
Put John in a bit of trouble here. John's obviously got the red he can go for. He would like to play safe, but he's worried about hitting something on the way back. The red up there on the left of the table is the concern. Playing thin off the bunch, he could crash into it. So he might end up going for the pot.
Yet another one, which makes a resounding thump on the back of the leather.
Stroked it in beautifully. As I say, I think his mind was made up. Brings a bit of clarity when you think you've probably got one shot only that you can play.
Eight. Nine. Yeah.
Second time a player has had the white clean already tonight. Only had half a frame. Needs a few more yet. 34 points. So we'll make it up to 40, but even then, there's still plenty on the table. Three more
15.
reds with high value colours would just about clinch it.
$16.
Flirted with the centre pocket.
Yes, he really got hold of that. He'd have only played on the blue there. He hit it very firmly. Keep him pinged back. This next positional shot is not an easy one. That's the red he might play on, swinging the cue ball across twice. I think he made the right choice, though. Playing on one of the two.
18. $19. $25.
Lead goes to 50, so a couple more reds should see Higgins safe in this opening frame.
Yeah, the fact that he played onto the yellow with one of those reds is why he needs the extra red.
$26.
Looks like he's just struggling a little bit to keep control of the cue ball tonight. No way he wanted to be this far away, and again he had quite a few looks at the scores, but he will need a further red, as Philip pointed out.
$32.
Well, he's playing the cut back, which is into a wider pocket. Of course, he could play the red he's closest to. But that is in, so that's very good.
33.
Done enough, although I still think that his touch is not quite there tonight. Not yet. But this man is such a good player, and Mark Allen knows it.
Allen had the first chance, stroked in an excellent opening long red, but then missed a red to right centre.
38.
And with a couple of scoring visits, it looks as though the Wizard is getting the first frame, and that makes it absolutely certain.
Well, this was the opening red, and he was forced into it, I think. Had a long look.
45.
And then just caressed it into the pocket. Beautiful shot.
45 in the first frame.
Mark Allen remains seated, so an impressive start from John Higgins. Breaks of 45 and 33 to take the opening frame. He leads, won the title for the second time. He'll feel it's overdue.
Mark Allen to break.
Mark Allen, of course, looking to play in his first ever Masters final. He knew he was up against it tonight. Nothing in that first frame that indicated otherwise. There's a long way to go. The Paul Hunter Trophy. Hunter champion in 2001, 2 and 4, each time by the odd frame. What a loss to the game. But what a mark he made on it while he was here.
Interesting one, wasn't it? Because it looked very thin. It's one of those where you wouldn't, it wasn't even sure whether he was just playing off it up and down for safety. But the double kiss on the way back did not help his cause there. Left it available for that reason.
One.
Two reds at the top of the black there, just below the bunch. I wonder if they're a plant. They must be fairly close to being set. And they're far enough apart to make them into a plant. Just coming round to look at it now. Well, as you can see, they're not in a plant. Not at this stage.
Just give me a second, Mark, please.
Well, Jan Haas obviously cannot put the pink on its own spot, which means he can get through to the red, but the pink's got to be buried in behind there.
Thank you. 7.
Just a small gap, he can thread the cue ball through, but he can pot this red.
Eight.
With running side around 2 cushions. Not an easy bunch to go into. 3 reds below it, almost protecting the bunch. That's why he played the little delicate cannon. It's a nicer shot than the lack of applause it got. He played it really well.
15.
Screwing in and off the bunch here.
Flashlight off.
Someone
Thank you.
with a flashlight on their camera phone, which is not going to make him very popular with the players.
16. $23. 24. $31. $32.
It's very early in the piece, of course, but this is an important break for Mark Allen, having lost the first frame.
39.
Important that he establishes himself sooner rather than later. He knows he's playing well. Should have come into this match with a lot of confidence after the manner in which he defeated O'Sullivan. Knows he can beat Higgins, has done so on 8 occasions. Some of them big matches, so plenty of reasons to be cheerful.
Although he's got a slight problem here because he's trying to get through a gap between those two reds, and from the front of the red that he's hitting, you have to measure it, of course, not the middle of the red. I don't think it's a very big gap. He's going to play it, but he just might not get through the gap. He can't refuse it, obviously.
I
think that was exactly an example of the problem he's faced with there. He was hitting both reds. Nice shot. Really is very nice touch there. I mean, it's a thin pot and he's held it
47.
to below the pink spot. It's very good.
Mark Allen.
Wow, would
47.
You believe it? Would you believe it after such a good shot on the black?
Well, he's missed it to the other jaw. I mean, he hit the other one he missed. He hit to the near jaw. I don't know if he got a kick there, but there seems to be some suggestion of it. I didn't notice it, I have to say.
Nope. So that'll be relief for Mark Allen. He's missed very little that's been straightforward in this tournament so far.
Well, the cry was gone marked, but I don't know quite where he's going to pot a red here. Don't think there's anything that's a plant. Good safety shot, though. Good weight.
Oh. Mark Allen 4.
You have to say that that is very unlucky. I mean, you could never recreate that shot deliberately. Try and going off into that pocket, played into that area of the table.
One.
Worth remembering that in the 6-1 victory for this man over Ronnie O'Sullivan, he lost the first frame, actually. Reeled off all remaining 6. Of course, he lost the first frame tonight. Chances are it's going to go 1-1. Then he could really settle into the match, I would say.
3. 4. Second again, please, Mark.
Pink spot still obscured.
There's a real hush in here tonight, big audience, but
10.
right now they're enjoying the start of this match. A lot of suspense, you feel. Imagine what it would be like if it got to 5-all. As far as this frame, almost there.
Yeah, this afternoon's was a slow burner, wasn't it? Judd Trump 5-2 up, seemingly heading for a comfortable victory
18.
for that remarkable fight back from Kyron Wilson.
19.
To 67 remaining, so it's looking like 1-all, although Allen could do with the colour as well. Good cueing.
$26. 27.
Well, there was a scare midway through this frame when he missed simple red to right centre. But Higgins couldn't capitalise.
33.
Yes, it's rather strange, isn't it? He's missed virtually the same shot into the same pocket twice.
34.
And absolutely nothing else.
Higgins would have been expecting a really tough tussle this evening. He's had plenty of them with Allen over the years.
41.
He knows that Allen tends to raise his game against the very best.
$48. 49. 55. 56. 63. 63 in the frame.
So Mark Allen dominating the second frame, an impressive response to losing the first. Breaks of 47 and 63. And so the match well and truly 13-3 at one stage before Allen mounted an extraordinary fight back, closing to just 16-13 behind before Higgins eventually fell over the line. A lot of mutual respect on show. It's been a feature of this tournament, the quality of Mark Allen's long potting. He floats another one in.
Yes, floats the right word. Very Mark Williams-like, the way he's dropping in those long pots. It's a shot that he really likes. It's just beautiful, and it'll be right behind it, and he never even threatened to get a draw on the way through. This is a little awkward. He's a bit close to this. You can play push shots if you're not careful when you're trying to get through the ball. I think that's why
9.
he did what he did there. I think he's worried about playing the push. Now he's got a horrid shot if he takes the black on. Queuing over 2 reds like this. It's a pushy kind of a shot if you're not careful. I'm not sure if there's any equipment under the table to play this shot. Never mind actually potting the black. I guess it was because of that shot. 2 shots on. Oh, he's gone with old friend the Swan Neck, who hardly ever gets seen.
It's like 7 to the right.
Yeah.
Maybe a drunken
Do you want
swan.
to play with it, or do you want another one? Get another one. Can we ask for another one, Marcel, please?
Oh, we had a couple of extended spiders last night.
Well, if there's something wrong with the Swan Neck, I mean, that's not great, is it? I mean, I would think that's the first time that's been used the whole week. And it's not even going to be used now.
Maybe it's warped through lack of use.
Yes, this is the kind of thing you'd expect from Ray Reardon back in the day. I remember when he played at the festival in North Wales in holiday camp. He was playing one of his matches downstairs, and he didn't like the equipment, and he said, "Get me a different one." And the referee said, "There aren't any." So there's plenty upstairs, and that was about a 10-minute walk. So he had to march up and get the right equipment for him.
Does this one pass muster? Crowd hold their breath. I think he's saying it's a similar situation. And after all that, back to plan A.
Well, I did say I didn't think there was the right equipment under the table. I didn't know I was going to be proved right in that regard. The Swan Neck has been sent away.
Thank you. Mark Allen, 9.
Well, amidst the merriment, Alan clearly frustrated there that he ran out of position. Such an excellent long red to get in.
Well, it shouldn't really cause Mark Allen too many problems, this. I don't know whether he can get up to bulk, because the red up there. But he can certainly get in behind the black where he is now. He might even have a shot at this red. It's a thin one. Interesting, wasn't it? Because John got a big clap for that shot, but he actually left the red available. It wasn't that good a shot, was it?
Six. Seven.
Yes, he
No.
just seems to have come in a slightly awkward place. Didn't get enough on it, I don't think. See, the reds further down the table would have been available.
Yeah. Just as it is, yeah?
Well, he needed some cover. He's put John in a pretty awkward predicament, actually. He certainly went for the top, though. This was not what he planned. But giving John a headache. Well, I'm not too sure about whether that's exactly on like that. I would think that another cushion would need to be hit. The host broadcaster put that on the screen. I don't think it's a natural angle, personally. Well, he's certainly in trouble, and
miss.
he knew it after that shot. He's nowhere near the reds. But obviously, he won't have it put back.
One.
He might be annoyed that he's flicked the black like that. I wonder if he'll still take it on. It's the only ball he can hit. Meant, I guess, to can it differently to that. It's one of these. If you go for this, you've got to play it 100%. Slowly, give the pocket every chance to accept the ball. And that is a little gem.
Could not have struck that any better. Didn't touch the sides. A lot of pressure on that. He knew he was leaving Higgins in if he missed, of course. But we've spoken about Allen's bottle many times before. He doesn't lack it. One of his attributes. He's a positive player. He's not afraid of taking on the tough shot.
No.
He's not afraid of winning either. If he gets the chance to put Higgins away this evening, he'll back himself to do so.
16.
That was quite a long
Mark
way
Allen,
off, actually.
16.
Need a hit across this one. It certainly was not his best strike. Well, it's never going to be an easy shot that he's played there. Hard to judge the angle on those.
Well, this time not clean, and that's why the cue ball has landed in a less than favourable position, so there's plenty of pressure on this one. No.
Mark Allen, 1.
No, it's been an awkward frame for him. You know, he's finished quite difficult on the black on 3 occasions now. One he couldn't go for because the equipment was playing up. Second one he got, and then that one all adds up to only 39 points from 3 scoring visits. Wow. Well, I didn't see John missing that one. I do have to say, 27 minutes since he last potted a ball. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Sometimes missing can become infectious. Scrappy patch of play. A terrific pot.
1.
Yes, Philip, but he needs to convert this chance. Can't afford to let another one slip by and somehow lose the frame.
Eight. Nine. 16. 17.
Well, it's not been a clinical frame, but it looks to be going the same way as the second. Mark Allen will be pretty satisfied with the start he's making here.
22.
Lost the first frame, responded well to win the second. Couple of sizable breaks.
24.
He's now done enough to win the third. And John Higgins was never really under any pressure against Ryan Day last evening. From 1-1, he powered away and never looked like relinquishing his lead. But Mark Allen looks set to ask a few more questions of the Wizard tonight.
28. Mark Allen, 28 and a frame.
And John Higgins decides not to play on for snookers. He needed 3 of them. So Mark Allen will be very satisfied. Having lost the opening frame, he's responded by winning 2 on the spin. And now this
Fourth
red
frame.
to right centre.
Mark Allen to break.
Allen doing enough to put his nose in front. 2-1. First to 6 for the right to play Kyron Wilson for the title tomorrow. A cheque for £200,000 also up for grabs, but not a great break-off. An immediate opportunity for Higgins.
Yeah, it's been infuriating for a player when you do that break-off shot and the red just drifts down the table. Because at times, you don't really know what you've done wrong. You don't feel like you've hit it badly. It might be, I was thinking, something to do with the way the reds are set up. Because the keyboard got to where he wanted it to. Anyway, it's gifted the twice Masters champion a great chance. Did well there. The pink was just protecting the top of the bunch a little bit. Unfortunate not to be on one, though.
6.
If he'd hit the pink flush, I'm sure he'd have got a better outcome to that.
Well, went full-blooded for the pot. Very, very difficult.
John Higgins, 6.
We've seen a few missed into that pocket already this evening. That was a very tough one. How expensive will it prove to be?
Yes, I'm a little surprised he went for it, but I guess it wasn't the certainty to stick it. No, but John is just being punished for every little mistake he makes. Leaving balls pretty open.
1.
Played very nicely. Look at that shot. It's a lovely place for the keyboard to finish. Obviously, putting the blackness on top of the opposite corner. Pass to the same pocket. And if you
7.
could just get that red away from the one that's to the left of the black, then he really could be in business here. Yeah, it was ever so well played on the previous red.
14.
Well, he'd be absolutely thrilled to be 3-1 up, having lost the first. He enjoys his little 15-minute break, which follows this frame.
Twenty-two.
Well, he's had a few problems with the middle pockets tonight already. He might be playing another one into the middle. One at the bottom of the bunch. He's got to play a pretty clever cannon if he plays it. Again, he doesn't know exactly where the keyboard's going to end up. I think he'll
23.
just about settle for that.
30. 31.
Well, plenty of options now. All those three reds in a line, all available to the left corner. Options are plenty.
$36. 37. 42. 43.
Well, he wants to be able to drop this in, and I think he just about can. Not really his style of shot he plays, though. He's usually got extremely good cue ball control.
48.
He's already made 5 more centuries this season than he did in the whole of the last campaign. He's on 41, 358 for his career. He's been very consistent this season, Mark Allen. Runner-up to Selby at the International Championship, semi-finalist as well at the World Open, a tournament he's won a couple of times, just missing out to his possible opponent tomorrow, Kyren Wilson, if he does the business tonight. He's looking confident.
I think that will add to his confidence. He struck that very well.
56.
It's actually come probably the ball's width too far. But the cue ball really did fly back off the black.
Brand new cloth and cushions ahead of the semi-finals. It's looking very, very responsive.
Thanks. 57.
Look at the scoreboard, 51 the lead, still 67 there. So a couple more reds will be required.
$61. 62.
This is really good stuff from Mark Allen.
The gentleman on the left is from the Kaiser Chiefs, Peanut Baines, keyboard player, loving his snooker.
We had Nico McBrain of Iron Maiden here
67.
earlier in the week as well. Huge snooker follower.
68.
What a start from the pistol. John Higgins' pot success so far this evening at 81. That's a full 12% down on his tournament pot
75.
stats.
Well, he's had a
76.
very average 4 frames, John Higgins. He's been punished for every mistake he's made, but he's very experienced and he knows that the match is certainly not anywhere near lost yet. It's a long match,
83.
but he needs to up his game considerably.
Yes, he probably won't mind the interval,
84.
whereas Allen getting on a bit of a roll. 3 straight frames.
$90. 91.
No century, but Mark Allen will be highly delighted with his work in the first part of this second semi-final. Having lost the opening frame, he scored well. He's looking confident. John Higgins teeing off then in frame 5. 3-1 adrift, so work to do for the Wizard. He hasn't been at his best so far this evening. Mark Allen certainly merits his 2-frame cushion, but a long way to go. But a test for Higgins this. Of course, he had one against Anthony McGill. Lost 4 on the bounce to McGill. Was 4-2 down. And then proceeded to start potting some terrific pressure balls from long range. And finished the match in style with 4 big breaks to win 4 on the spin. And that was a long way off.
Wow, that really was horrible. And so unlike John Higgins. He seemed to move. I tell you what, those shots don't leave you in a hurry when you miss those like that. You'll be sitting there wondering what on earth went wrong with the mechanics of my swing.
1.
Worrying for Higgins, and can only boost the confidence of Allen to see his opponent miss like that. Higgins' pot success with that error has now slipped into the 70s, 79%. That's
6.
almost unheard of. Allen's a very healthy 92 in contrast. Oh, well, there we go. The curse of the commentator strikes again.
I'm just thinking that, you know,
Mark
Mark
Allen,
really
6.
has to take advantage of John being in this sort of form and not sort of drag himself down a little bit, knowing that John's not at his best. And it seems that that's almost what happened there. You have to assume that at some point John is going to start to play. Mark could just race away into the distance and get the match over with. And John starts playing well.
Yeah, that one miss by Allen might prove to be very significant at the end of the evening. It's a chance to build a sizable lead, if not a frame-winning one. Conversely, John Higgins can now forget about the red that he missed by the proverbial country mile. Re-establish some rhythm. His highest break so far, 45. Scored only 6 points in the 3 frames before the interval.
Again, that wasn't a great shot, but he did get a little nudge on the red that's favourable.
Nine.
I hate to say it, but he looks to be really struggling. Even that, a straighter shot on the pink, because he's probably got one red he can play on here, and that's the red out just to the right. So he's got to let the cue travel quite a way to land him behind that. And that's the problem, you see. He's not on the red straight enough. It's all a bit of a struggle at the moment.
Thanks.
And that was as good a shot as John will ever hit with the rest. That's a little beauty. So some encouragement should be taken there.
Mark Allen will be kicking himself, won't he? Missing that routine red after Higgins had erred with the long pot. There's a chance to really apply the pressure, consolidate his strong position. He's just given Higgins a lifeline here.
Yeah, and these two reds are dead set, aren't they?
$23. $29. $30. $37.
Brings a lot of experience to the table, doesn't he, John Higgins? Even in this event, which would not qualify as one of his absolute favourites. He's been twice champion.
38.
Albeit back in the old Wembley Conference Centre days, on the last ever final there, beating Ronnie O'Sullivan 10-9 in an absolute classic of a match, where he cleared up to win on the final black.
45.
One of the all-time great clearances under extreme pressure. Perhaps second only to the Hurricanes' clearance
46.
against Jimmy in 82 at the Crucible in the semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about context, isn't it? And he dropped a red into the middle, which nearly stayed over the pocket and then cleared up. Ronnie has admitted that it was one of his biggest ever disappointments in the game that night.
53.
Yes, he did give the Wizard a couple of hammerings in Masters finals. The Rocket.
54.
But the point with John is he's been there so many times. He's never really tinkered very much with his cue action. Still the same cue action that he's always had. He's obviously got a little older, but he still is an extremely good match player.
59.
As good as it gets, really.
It took a while
60.
to get full control of the cue ball in this break, but it's a very, very significant one. It's a chance he really shouldn't have had. Seismic difference between 4-1 and 3-2, particularly given that Allen knows he had the
65.
chance. He gave it back to Higgins.
Thank you. 66.
This is what we expect from him, though. Allen now needs a snooker. He's not going to get the chance to play for them. He has that killer instinct. He's not been at his best by a long chalk this evening, but
73.
he knows when key moments of a big match like this must be grasped.
74.
And he's done that here.
$81.
Closing in on his second century of the week. It would be a very significant one. 700 for his career.
82. $89. $90.
Well, that was another very well struck shot, and all of a sudden he looks like a different player. Now that he's got a little bit of rhythm, but beautifully struck on that black.
98.
It feels like a turning point, this frame. There it is. Third in the all-time list behind O'Sullivan and Hendry. The magic 700.
104.
But much more significant than the three-figure break is what it's done to Higgins' confidence. He suddenly has a completely different demeanour, doesn't he?
It's a big milestone, 700 centuries. Obviously, as we full well know, players are
109.
starting to pass 500 now, aren't they? The likes of Judd Trump and Mark Selby, Robertson's beyond that as well. Over 700, you've only got, the two greatest scorers in the wall, Ronnie O'Sullivan and Stephen Hendry. John Higgins is third on that list.
118. $124.
What a break it's been. A 1-3-1 clearance. The Wizard relocates his magic wand. Mark Allen missed a short-range red, but he had the chance to potentially do what Higgins has just done and move 4-1 in front. But Higgins finds his form in spectacular fashion. Straightforward red, when he might have had the chance to make it 4-1, and that would have been a long way back, even for Higgins. As it is, 3-2. Feels like a shift in momentum. How can Allen respond? Very close.
Yep.
I made the point earlier that it seems that when John is missing anything, he's always leaving something up. You get spells like that where you get maybe only one ball that you can stick is the one that you play. This is quite an important little contribution here that needs to be made by Mark Allen on the back of that century. John Higgins certainly starting to warm to the task. Needs to get in on the back foot again.
8. Nine. Sixteen. 17.
Oh, that stopped horribly short. I'm sure he must have tried to drift the cue ball further down. But that read to the
22.
left middle, but his touch seemed to desert him for that shot. I'd be really disappointed to finish there. Nothing he can do here except to try and play a tight safety shot.
Mark Allen, 22.
Take your medicine and run away. Very inviting table for the first player to be given another chance. There's no chances here. Well, he found a way, actually. Of course, he didn't know much about where the cue ball would finish. It just glanced off a couple of balls on the way through. It wasn't the most natural of escapes back to bowl.
Turned out to be a very favourable kiss, didn't it? He wouldn't have had position otherwise.
5. 6.
It's a classic situation where he's almost played on the blue as if it's on its spot. But as you can see, it's away from there. It would have been perfect if it was in the normal place. Just one key shot away all the time in this break from getting in
11.
to prime position. He's still got a chance to keep the break going. Not an easy red, though.
Mark Allen making his 10th Masters appearance this year, twice a semi-finalist before. Lost to Marco Fu back in 2011 by 6 frames to 4 and was well beaten by Sean Murphy in 2015, 6-2.
Still can't.
15.
That prime position he's striving for.
$21. 22.
Very sizable lead building up, and those 3 reds in the
28.
middle of the table will be more than enough.
29.
It's getting better, this match. It's not similar to what we saw earlier on, which was a bit of a slow burner, ended up in a great conclusion. This match is also stepping up in quality, frame by frame.
35. $36.
Well, there you see it, just this red.
42.
Should be straightforward for the lefty.
43.
So John Higgins' comeback stopped in its tracks for the time being.
$49.
Yeah, you can actually make a century here, but it'd be a particularly good one. Probably try to cannon the middle red of the 3. Just nudge it out into play here. That's nicely done, although straight on the other 2.
57. 58.
trying to find a route to come all round the table. And it wouldn't be an easy shot to do so. Put some pace into the cue ball. He just felt something was in the way. This time it was the yellow. So it looks as if there'll be
65.
no century unless he can produce some magic here.
Thank you.
But 65 is more than enough. Once again, Allen responds well to losing a frame and puts himself 2 clear once again and within 2 of his first ever Masters final.
Settle down, please.
And a small matter of £200,000 to go with it. Guaranteed 50,000 for both of these players, 90,000 for the runner-up. It's big money at the Masters. Mark Allen spying a possible plant. We saw a couple of exceptionally ambitious ones this afternoon in our first semi-final. Kyron Wilson taking on an extraordinary 3-ball plant that went horribly wrong. Judd Trump arguably pushing the boat out in the deciding frame. Another plant that went awry. Mark Allen deciding to err on the side of caution in the end. It's a tough ask now for Higgins. Mark Allen is playing exceptionally well. He's got to win 4 of the remaining 5 frames. Very unlucky.
Mark Allen 4.
It is. I guess that was always going to be the problem. He must have known it was quite near to it enough. He hoped it just wouldn't happen. Maybe he thought it would just wriggle and stay out.
That's a battle that Mark Allen has won this evening.
Thank you, John.
Safety battle, albeit it's pretty marginal. 78% play 75, but over the course of the tournament, Allen's safety success is marginally better than Higgins. Something of a surprise, I guess. But you absolutely have to compete with Higgins, don't you, in that department to have a chance to get the better of him.
John's had a long look at this red. Then you see you get the left side of it to play safe, though. Just imagine managing to avoid the double kiss. It's a good shot, better than it looked.
That was struck with great authority. We've seen a few missed into that pocket this evening from both players, but that one was never in doubt. Sullivan was talking during the mid-session interval about the need to get a really good stroke in with a centre pocket shot like that. Play it with authority, and that's exactly what Allen did. To give himself a really good chance at the start of this seventh frame, I should say.
Seven. Eleven. 12.
Now it's just a question now of getting himself up onto another red here. Cuba's got to travel quite a way. Well, he's given himself every chance, and he played it beautifully. Very good shot. It was just measured in pace. He didn't absolutely belt it. He did it at a good pace, and he hit exactly where he wanted to hit. He was always going to finish on something.
17.
And he's really opened the frame up now.
Yeah, John Higgins has plenty to ponder in his chair. Mark Allen seems to be getting stronger and stronger. Had no doubts that he could win this evening. Knew that he'd have to play very well, and perhaps
24.
that John Higgins would have to have a slightly below par evening. And I guess that scenario is playing out right now.
25.
If he does get to his first Masters final, he'll have certainly earned it. There aren't many players who have beaten
32.
two of the game's all-time greats back-to-back in a major tournament like this.
33. $40. 41. 48. 49.
I just feel all this was made possible with that brown that he played inch perfectly into the bunch. And then
56.
In A1 position.
57.
Yeah, that was the key
64.
ball, barring snookers. It's going to be 5-2. Higgins 3 down with 4 to play, just as Kyron Wilson was, of course, this afternoon. And we know what happened there. But it is just the one snooker.
Mark Allen, 64.
He has to play on here. I mean, it is one snooker. Look where the yellow and the brown are placed. In such a way that it's very possible he hasn't sort of written off the chance of John Higgins in this frame either. This has got to go in there, or he'll left the frame absolutely at Mark's mercy. Just playing all or nothing here.
Frame conceded. Frame Mark Allen.
John Higgins has had enough. And Mark Allen is now within touching distance of his first ever Masters final.
Eighth frame. Mark Allen to break.
Mark Allen 1 frame away from contesting
Quiet now,
that
please.
trophy. 5-2 up, first to 6. Play Kyron Wilson in the final. Well, the old cliche that the hardest frame to win is the last. And John Higgins will be certainly hoping that's the case, that Mark Allen perhaps does tighten up a little inside of victory. He's not normally that sort of player, to be honest, Allen. He can be pretty ruthless in sight of getting the job done. So Higgins is going to have to produce something really special now to turn this around. But as we know, he is capable of doing just that.
Switch your flash off, please. Eight. John Higgins, 8.
Allen closing in on his 4th Masters victory over Higgins in 4 attempts. But this, of course, will be by far the most significant. His only Triple Crown final 7 years ago. He mounted a great fight back in a losing cause against Judd Trump. UK Championship.
Well, the cue ball's a little bit out of control. He thought it would skim off that red and for safety. Obviously hoped the pot would go in as well. As you pointed out, it was a similar scenario this afternoon, 5-2. Judd Trump led before Corin Moss turned things around. So Mark Allen will know this is not over. Doesn't even want it to get close. But John Higgins will have to play as Corin Wilson did. Pretty tough snooker and barely made a mistake in the last few frames. He'll have to do the same as that, because he can't afford to make mistakes at this juncture.
Eight. Nine. 14.
The red that's just down below the black, if he's straight enough, he could screw in behind that, pot it, and then free everything up. Played it beautifully. Already just kissing the red.
22.
Seems to be a bit all or nothing with John Higgins tonight, isn't it? He had a highest break of 45, then the 1-3-1, and he's set for quite a few here, you'd say. The in-between frames, he's not getting the telling little 50s and 60s that can win you frames.
30.
There's been nothing approaching a close frame, has there? They've all been won in pretty emphatic fashion. There's been nothing approaching a long frame either. 15 minutes and 25 seconds, the opening frame, the longest of the evening. It's been a clean match.
It's a good point about the easy winning of the frames. Most losers' points scored in a frame was in the opener, when 8 points is all that Mark Allen got, but every frame's been won even easier than that since. You normally get a frame or two that go down to the colours. Maybe it'll be the decider if it goes that far.
$36.
Well, you'd rule nothing out. It's been an eventful tournament. We've had surprises, we've had some fantastic break building.
37.
We had a real nerve jangler this afternoon after what looked like being a cruise for Judd Trump. Turned out to be anything but. Mark Allen will be very mindful of what John Higgins is capable of if he can get on a roll here.
43.
Crowd once again packing out the palace to the rafters.
44.
Been royally entertained all week.
Yep. 50.
Yes, as you said earlier, it's also been a free-flowing match, isn't it, with all those 12-minute frames, and the longest only taken 15 minutes. So we have certainly seen the balls open up. It's not really been a match all about safety. Not really played any part yet. And he's on the brink now in red and any colour.
58.
And Mark Allen will need snookers. I don't think he's going to get the chance somehow.
59.
He needs to be patient. And he knows that maybe at some point there will be a chance come his way to win this match. Highly unlikely that John will just win 4 frames unchallenged. Very rarely works out that way.
Well, the crowd, of course, will get behind
62.
Higgins now. He had plenty of fans at the outset, but they'd love to see another final frame decider.
63. $70. 71.
I'm sure he played to count the 2 reds there.
78.
But I suspect he'll get a second chance at it, doing so. I don't think he's got a huge amount of control this time. He's a little thin on this blue. Chance to go into them, though. That was the problem. He didn't really know where the balls were likely to finish.
84.
But he can get through.
85.
Classy response this from Higgins. You wouldn't expect anything less.
92.
I think someone had miscounted there in the audience. The 100 naught, I
93.
thought was the century. Schoolboy error, but I think he's going to make it now anyway. That same person might roar again.
This time the applause is not premature.
100.
29 centuries for the season now for Higgins.
102.
701 for his career. And keeping his hopes alive in fine fashion. He's still got a lot to do before he can entertain thoughts of winning.
105.
But he's reminding Mark Allen that if he gets the chance, he's more than capable of taking it. I don't think Allen needed any reminding.
No, it's been a strange old performance from John because his scoring is obviously there because he's knocked in 2 centuries. But maybe other parts of his game have been a little bit short. His long game's not been outstanding by any stretch tonight. He's missed a couple by quite a margin. When he's in, he's still dangerous.
1-3-1 in the 5th frame. And now 1-2-7. To keep his hopes alive in style. Mark Allen is still the firm favourite. But for how long? John Higgins closing to 5 frames to 3. Emphatically this way, it's gone the way of John Higgins, his 2nd century of the evening. 1-2-7 to go with the 1-3-1, but it's still Mark Allen in the box seat, leading as he is by 5 frames to 3. That one elusive frame required for his first Masters final and a showdown over the best of 19 frames tomorrow with Kyron the Warrior Wilson, who came back from a similar deficit, 5-2 against Judd Trump this afternoon in thrilling circumstances to win 6-5. Can Higgins pull off a similar trick to set up the chance to play for a hat-trick of Masters titles? You wouldn't put it past him, but he's still got a lot to do. Allen leading 5-3. That was the 5th frame of the evening, where the player who lost it failed to trouble the scorers. It's been that kind of night. One-sided frames. Very, very tough. Cueing has to be absolutely perfect. Hardly any other pocket to aim for. Well, we saw that shot just now. Does the red go? Looks as though it might just, but we would much prefer to be right behind it. Goodness me, there is no margin for error there whatsoever. Yeah, that was very, very tough.
Well, that was a very good pot, as you saw. The camera angle kind of showed you that pretty unconventional, thin angle that he was trying to pot the red at. And he controlled the white also beautifully. It's on a slight roll here. It's a bit early to call it a proper rearguard action, but he gets in and scores this time. And that's a good shot to start him off. He gets in and makes a sizable break, then we can safely say that he's on the comeback trail. He might play on the black here because of the red that's also pretty near to that left corner. I think it's easier to play on the black than anything else. Easier anyway. Big shot.
5.
He'll play it slowly so that if he misses this, he'll block the pocket. Or that'll be the plan. He doesn't really want to miss it, obviously. Just to get some... continue with his little run that he's having. Very gently played this shot.
Beautifully cued. Never in doubt.
12. $13.
Just might take the opportunity to go into them here, full onto the pink. Well, he didn't get full on the pink, unfortunately, half ball, and the cue ball just slid off. That's what happens if they catch the ball flush. The pack don't really open. The last bit was completely unpredictable, but he will play safe. Needs to keep the pressure on and make it a good one as well. Bit
John
weak
Higgins,
on pace.
18.
Of their 16 previous meetings, and of course they've split them 8 wins apiece. Just one has gone the distance, and that was here last year in the first round. Allen winning 6-5.
Well, the shadow's come on Mark, but he hasn't potted a single ball since he took that 5-2 lead with that 64 break. 20 minutes of playing time that John has dominated for. So the first pot will always be with him going on a slightly out of rhythm.
Terrific pot. That's the kind of pot you want to sink when you're just a frame away from the biggest final of your career, bar the UK Championship.
Well, it's an absolute beauty, you're right. The cue ball is the best part of that shot. The pot was one thing. Just look where he's finished. Couldn't have been better. And he had the chance there to just nudge a couple of balls out. John's safety shot was not a good one. Didn't mean to crash into the yellow on full ball. That's what made the pot possible in the first place for Mark Allen.
Nine.
also a very good shot.
14. We've
talked ad infinitum about one of Mark Allen's chief attributes being his bottle, his ability to grasp the nettle when it really matters. Well, this is one of those scenarios. This is a chance to book his place in the final of the Masters.
20.
Can he take it?
He
looks pretty cool and calm, but his heart will be beating. You can be sure of that. He's human.
Well, he deserves this chance.
28.
The way that he got in, that tremendous red. All that time sitting out. 20 minutes of just watching your opponent.
29.
A century break, and looked like he was almost back to his best. But he knew his chance would come if he was patient.
$36. $37.
He's made 3 breaks of 60 plus and a 90
44.
this evening, Mark Allen. He scored very well when he's had the chance. Having a look at that scoreboard now as he edges towards a situation where he'll have the chance to close out victory. But still some work to do.
Now, what's he looking at? Maybe the plant. The 2 reds to the middle. And if it's on, then he would play on it. And just looking round, it looks pretty much on, doesn't it? And don't forget that if the reds are touching, then he can make it into a plant by just making the little adjustment. It looks
45.
mighty close. Well, the fact that he's played on it here when he could have played on the other red, he must believe in this shot.
52.
It might just be a match winner. It's there.
53.
It's there, and it's a very good spot, actually. It was the good decision-making there to play that shot. So, reds in the middle of the table. If you can take both of those two, you won't have to worry about the more difficult reds.
Higgins powerless, can only hope for an error.
61.
43 the lead, just 51 left. So near, and yet the job is not yet done. Well, there you see it.
68.
Just 1 red required, and he's almost there. And in it goes, and he's got an easy pink to follow, and there's nothing even the great John Higgins can do about this. What a display from Mark Allen. He knocked out Ronnie O'Sullivan in sensational fashion, winning 6-1.
75.
And then he had to do it all over again against another of the all-time greats of the game.
75.
And he has done just that. John Higgins offers his hand. There's going to be a new